So what is being financially literate? And how do you even know your finances are in order? Which areas of finances or your life should you pay attention to so that your finances are really balanced? I mean, if you're anything like me, it gets overwhelming. Beautiful people. Now, I've been having conversations with a number of people, and the issue of how do I know I'm on track always seems to pop up. How do you measure how your finances are doing? And also, which areas of your life should you pay attention to? Because oftentimes we know that it's not just about money. There are other aspects that kind of affect our money. But how do we plan for this? And so this is what I wanted us to cover. There are 5 areas or 5 broad categories where we can actually plan and put targets or goals in each of these categories to make sure we're kind of balancing out how our finances are behaving. And this also kind of helps us know that we are behaving the right way. We are portraying that we're financially literate, right? Because all that financial literacy is just being aware of how to treat your money, how to safeguard your money, how to earn money, all those different aspects that affect your peace of mind, especially where money and opportunities are concerned. The first category we're going to look at is earning. Now, earning is one of the first places we discover that money does matter or finances do matter, because it comes from the idea that you cannot really spend what you do not have. And rightfully so. How do you make a budget, or how do you go and buy things from the store if you don't really have the money to do that? You kind of need to have some money, some finances somewhere for you to do certain things that you'd like to do. And so that is why we often go out to look for a job or to start a business or sell a service or something like that. And even, surprisingly, plan for retirement. Because believe it or not, even when we retire, we want to be able to secure our earning capacity. How are we going to make money so that we actually can cover our bills and do the things we like to do most? The second area, naturally, of course, has to be spending. I mean, after you earn your money, you want to be able to spend it. And so this is where things like budgets come into place. Now, a lot of us have heard of budgets, right way to budget, and can you really budget when you're not earning the big money or things of that nature? Whatever issues it is, it all comes down to how are you spending your money? And so here in the area of spending, we find things like writing a budget, planning for our money, planning for the long-term spending, making sure our bills are covered. And so writing a budget can sound simple or not important, but I encourage you. It is one of the best practices you can actually implement for your money. It's not easy because there's a level of discipline involved, but the rewards are really groundbreaking, especially for your finances. The third category that we look into when we talk of financial literacy is the area of saving and investment. Yes, this is an area that I have seen a lot of buzz and excitement about, especially the area of investing. Because I mean, who wouldn't want to have money working for them and your money is multiplying while you're doing other things? And it's just awesome because it opens more possibilities for you and your money, right? However, even saving can look like it is simple or annoying because you're putting aside money and you're not spending it and you're just putting it aside. But it is a profound culture as well. It's something that you develop over time. Because remember, financial literacy is a long-term type of game, right? And so saving also falls in that category. So if you start early, it is very, very beneficial. Now, in the area or category of savings and investment, this is where we have things like savings group or emergency fund, investing like into property. Do you want to invest in property? Do you want to invest in shares? Different types of investments. And that is where you actually make your decisions. Now, all these decisions, of course, anchor in the fact that you have some financial goals and your decisions are actually guided by your financial goals. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And so you're able to decide and plan accordingly. The fourth category, which of course has a lot of us buzzing, which is borrowing and loans. Now, borrowing, this is where we actually have questions like, why should I borrow? When should I borrow? How should I borrow? Where should I borrow from? And you have all these financial institutions that can lend you money. And also, you can also go to your savings group if you belong to one and borrow money from there. Now, also in the area of borrowing and loans, you also can be a lender. Should you lend money to people? And if you're going to do it, where or how are you going to do it? Are you going to be charging an interest? Or is it family where there's no interest? All these aspects are covered in the category of borrowing and loans. And so this is where you kind of have your mind or your goals kind of focused on how you're going to treat money in this particular category. And remember, it should meet your long-term goals or your short-term goals. Either way, you have plans for your money, and this sector should also fit your money. Now, believe me, I speak from experience, you might want to be very wise in this category because it can cost you a whole lot. Remember, borrowing is basically just getting your future money and spending it now. So you might as well want to make sure you do it really well. Because whenever you get money, I don't know about you, but it feels awesome. The issue comes in when repaying, especially if the money wasn't spent properly. So make sure that you do borrow responsibly and you commit to repaying your obligation. Now, let's get to the fifth area. The fifth area is something that sometimes can easily slip our minds. I know it has slipped my mind a number of times, but it is very important nonetheless. The fifth one is protecting your money. Yes, we need to protect our money. We know how hard it is to create this money or make this money or get this money into the system, into our pockets. We know the challenges involved. And so we have to be responsible to protect our money. This is where we have things like understanding what fraudulent activities are in our society. For example, we see certain types of money schemes that don't really make sense and people still get into them. And then we lose out and pay dearly. We lose out huge sums of money. So this is where understanding what types of schemes make sense and which ones you should get into and which ones you shouldn't to avoid losing money. Additionally, this is where we have things like wills. We have things like funeral policies. We have things like insurance to help us safeguard our money. Because when disaster happens, it kind of can shock your finances and end up causing you a lot of heartache that you did not anticipate. In this area, I'm so glad that there is NEMA right now, which was recently introduced, which is the National Health Insurance Plan. Initially, I was a bit skeptical about it, but I do understand why it's there and the benefits of it. Healthcare can be expensive. And not too long ago, we had situations where people, if they were faced with a serious illness, right, whether themselves or a family member, they would have to lose certain properties or assets in order to cover the healthcare bills. This meant that majority of people were at risk of just losing their money. They were just an illness away from falling into a poverty bracket, which is dangerous. So I really do appreciate that there is some level of insurance policies or insurance plans coming up to help us protect our money. And so this is why it is important to protect our money, because sometimes it's not so easy to gain all that money that you have acquired, but it shouldn't be lost overnight. And so we have to do our part to protect our money and make sure that we are always on top of things. This helps us with maintaining a certain level of peace of mind, I must say. Now guys, we've looked at 5 broad categories of financial literacy, of how you can balance up your money. Now, I just want to encourage you, or rather, I just want to remind you, financial stability or financial growth is not a sprint. It's more of a marathon. It's more of a long-term game. And so you have to be very patient with yourself. Sometimes implementing certain good and sound financial practices can look like you're pouring water in an ocean, right? Or you're just in the middle of an ocean and everywhere looks blue, which sounds like there's nothing much you're doing. But I'll tell you, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will really appreciate all the sound practices you're putting in place. Just be patient and walk with the process. Improve where you need to improve, plan where you need to plan, and be patient with yourself. Just balance it out and everything will fall into place. So I'm wishing you all the best and thanks for watching. Remember to share, like, and subscribe to this channel because it helps me know what type of content you want. So thanks for watching. I will see you soon. Bye bye.